All right, welcome everybody to week 43, Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday program design review. Here with my co-host Cindy. You guys can comment on her 80s rock hair to let us know that you watch this video because
yeah, let's go.
three fire.
I've been in the back of my pickup truck. Three fire emojis.
That make you feel good, right? All right,
let's go.
That way we know somebody's watching and our time is well spent.
Yeah.
All right, the dumbbell single leg. Well, first, let's start with the warm-up. That's where we always start. We always start by announcing to you what we're trying to do here in case this is one of your first times watching this video. The yellow is where we're going to have your different forms of engagement and entertainment. That's right below each exercise. We like to challenge you to do new warm-ups each week. Maybe even do a pre-warm-up, have fun with the Apache or whatever the case might be. During these weeks of challenges and contests where new members are coming in, I like to bring people into huddles. I like to get them into energy lineups. I like to say, hey, partner up with somebody that you don't know, because that way our veteran members are working with our new members and it's forming relationships which could result in retention. So that's important. So with that being said, if you have something going on in your facility, do things to connect the members, do things to make them smile, right? All right. So now the dumbbell single leg deadlift single arm row. The thing that we're coaches and we can read what a salsa row is, but here's what it is. You're going to feel that you're going to keep good spine alignment, right? Are we challenging the weight here? Are we watching for technique? Is it a pace exercise? Well, what we're going to be doing in this particular exercise is first look at technique. Then you might challenge the weight, right? If they have good technique, you're going to give them good coaching cues. Because sometimes people aren't sure which side to hold the weight on. So you're going to say that it's, imagine that you're filling the hole with the weight, the hole that was left behind by the foot that moved, right? So that's just one way to think about it. So with this, monitor technique, right? Monitor technique, challenge the weight. One of the deadliest exercises I know, the deadlift. All right. Then the super band iso squat with adduction. So it's actually, it says ABD, but it's actually ADD.
Which, yeah.
So look, I've got a question about this. So I always try to remember
no, go ahead.
Adduction, kind of like you're adding it to your body.
That's right.
Ab is one, but isn't it both? Because
you're
adding it and then you're going back and forth, right?
Yeah, I guess so. So that's one way to think about it. So I think that what we're really, when you say adduction versus abduction, it's like, which way am I pulling the resistance?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So yeah. So it's not, you'll always have a movement that's complete.
Right.
But where's my challenge at? Is my challenge to add the resistance back to the body, or is my challenge to move something from my body? Like if I'm doing a lateral raise, I'm doing abduction, right? I'm moving and you can think of abducted, like getting abducted by an alien and going up into space, right? Like I'm abducted, I'm taken away from the planet, right? I'm taken away from the center of my body. So yeah, it seems like it's both because you're going, you're adding and you're abducting and this and that, but think of it as where the anchor point is. So that's a super band iso squat with adduction because you are stepping in, adding it to your body. So with this one, you can challenge them where they stand, right? Like you can get them out far enough to feel some resistance. You can definitely challenge the range of motion. There's this song, it's kind of like a limbo song. It's on our fun coaching song list, and there's a spot in there. If you nail it, I don't remember the exact seconds, but you can look for it, and it's like, how low can you go, right? And that's what you want with an iso squat. I saw some people on the wall this past week, they were supposed to be iso squatting and, doing that curl, and they weren't really doing very much iso squatting. So I'd come by their station and be like, how low can you go? Get low, maybe that's to the window, to the wall, get low. You scared,
to the window, to the wall.
Yeah, we'll save the rest. And then you got your hollow hold single arm press. Okay, so that's kind of like a banana position. And you're pressing. So with that one, you will be challenged challenging the weight on that. You can challenge the weight. And this is something too. Sometimes we give green highlights in here, especially if we want to point out, maybe this is where you start. Helping somebody anytime that they're pressing is a great idea, because you don't want them to like be tearing their shoulders and then, you know, all of a sudden they can't work out anymore and get to their goals because they kind of grab this weight that's way behind them. So especially if you want to challenge the weight, be that coach that's over there handing them the heavier weight as they get into position. So that may be where you want to start. The rip trainer flagpole squat. Well, that's an interesting one right there. You know, we're raising the flag and, you know, pressing it in and out. It's a good core activation exercise as you do that. So watch those videos. One rule of thumb is don't ever coach something that you haven't done, right? So practice that one before Friday rolls around, or at least before you're on the floor as a coach. So the rip trainer flagpole squat, again, you can challenge ROM, range of motion. You can challenge, you know, how far they're moving with that anchor point. You know, you're definitely helping with technique, right? You have to learn it and then teach it when it comes to new exercises that wind up in your library. The body weight prone position to the long jump. All right. You might want to play the Bad Boys song on this, because now you're down on the floor. You got your hands behind your head. You're looking for the cops to look away, and then you're going to spring up and get out of there. No, I'm not speaking from experience at all, but what I would I recommend on this one is that you're going to be challenging the pace with that one. You're going to teach them about power, that it's a measurement of power in the body to see, can I jump the length of my body? So Cindy likes to lay right down on the floor and challenge people to jump alongside her, not on top of her, like Evel Knievel or something, you know, jumping Caesar's fountains, but, you know, more so just alongside, right? Anything you want to say on that one?
Well, I like what Andy said with the long jump this week.
Relative.
It's a relative term, because
Mm-hmm.
for some people, a long jump is
Not very long.
wait, where am I?
Mm-hmm.
This far, you know. But I think most importantly on that is not the long jump. I think most important on that, for, you know, a lot of people that are in our facility specifically, is encouraging them to get down and get up.
Mm-hmm.
Get down to the floor and get up. Don't make it foreign territory.
That's
A lot of
point.
people, especially since we have the plyo boxes out now for some of the things for people to do, they're like, oh, I don't get on the floor. Well, but can you get on the floor? Yes. So you should.
Yeah.
So I like to still try to encourage, get down and know how to get back up in case you ever fall down.
Good point. You know, so Journey has a practice. It's not a, you know, I mean, this is what we've done since we opened and before we could afford it. We try to get our coaches to conference every year because we always want everybody to get better. And so if you believe that you'd like to get better every week, look up Dan John and look up what he has to say about suffering a fall after the age of 50. He quotes some interesting statistics that it's more dangerous for you to suffer a fall after the age of 50 than it is to contract some forms of cancer, because people become a stranger to the ground. And, you know, as they're losing muscle and losing bone density and suffering falls, it's really interesting how quickly somebody all of a sudden breaks a hip, and then also their mortality rate goes down, and it's just crazy. So we don't want people to be strangers to the ground. Cindy and I worked in physical therapy before starting Journey, and what happened was we would put plyo boxes beside people so they could easily get down and get off the ground, because it was our job to get them familiar with the floor again, sometimes as they're graduating people out of there into our fitness realm. So that's some good stuff from Cindy this week. Good. The dumbbell half kneeling single arm press. Anytime that we say half kneeling, what we're really saying is challenge your balance, right? Get that front foot in line with the back knee. You can go and stand in front of them, position your foot in a way where you want them to bring their foot right up to yours, like their instep to your instep. And then that way they feel the core challenge of what's going on there. And every time they come down, it activates their core. They're not folding over, they're staying upright and they're pressing. So you know, Jeremy goes over the finer points in that, like if you're not pressing, you're curling or whatever. But so with that one, challenge technique, right? This is a technical exercise. And then the super band, a side plank to a crunch. So they're reaching over their head and they're crunching, reaching over and crunching. Mm-hmm.
So, like, a lot of times, see.
So as we continue, something that we've noticed about this workout, which leads to orange highlights, is in our particular location, where we would put the rib trainers for anchor points, which some of you, if you want to have a mid anchor point in your facility and you don't already, you'd want to put eye bolts typically over there by where your ropes are, you know, because it's a good place for eye bolts. You don't want to just have them sticking out of your walls anywhere. And so you could have those over there, but then it would lead to an issue. You'd say, well, where am I going to anchor my band for my side plank, right? So what we've decided in our facility this week is that we need to modify one of those exercises. We want to keep the rib trainers. We don't use them very often. And so with that, we're going to have our squat become an in and out squat, which is just where you're hopping in and out, right? So we're going to do that. And we know that in our facility, you know, we do have some older folks here and we have some deconditioned folks here that aren't even good at a side plank yet. You know, they might not even be good at a regular plank yet. We're getting a lot of new people. Thankfully, we've had 20 some new people added to our list in the last couple of weeks. So we're just going to help them to master the basic side plank rather than worrying about having them pull something over their head. In addition to that, I will highlight this one in orange as well, because people have to consider this when it comes to the rib trainer chop, triple chop. And if you have a crowded space, what are you going to do? What I'm going to suggest is that you only do one type of chop, and it's going to be the chop that it has the least chance of the person hitting the other person in front of them, right? It's going to be right overhead, right? So they can just kind of step through that, right? They can just kind of step and chop. They're stepping and chopping just like that. If you are getting crowded sessions and you have limited space, if you got, you know, a whole bunch of space and not a bunch of people, you know, do the triple chop, right? But those are a few things that you have to question yourself. And so in our facility, it becomes the in and out squat, which thank you to CloudFit, you know, we'll be able to have that up on the screen so you can see what it looks like. And then we're just going to do the regular side plank over here. And that up at the top there.
Second.
It'll become right after the deadlift, single arm deadlift and row there. So then, and so when we're talking about the side plank, imagine that there's two panes of glass and they don't want to break the glass to keep their shoulders stacked. So we're going to call that a technical exercise. Coaching shoulders stacked, right? And then the lateral goblet squat, you know, feet together, feet apart, get a squat, right? So you can challenge the weight on that. And then the rib trainer triple chop, you know, you're going to teach technique. Okay. People get very confused how to hold that. I might even give this a green highlight now that you understand why it's highlighted orange, because you have to consider whether or not it fits into your facility. Then you can highlight it green, because guess where you should be? You should be over there, because they're going to be grabbing the low, the opposite of the anchor point and trying to chop that way and having their stuff pulling them back. It's just, it can be a mess at first, right? So you really want to point out, you know, everybody say, like, for example, all right. So when you're teaching this one, right, you might want to say, everybody say towards the top, right? So they're towards the top. They want to have their hand up there, because otherwise with their hand down here, it's too loose up at the top, because the anchor is attached to the top. And sometimes people wind up with it down low, right? So you might even say towards the ceiling. You know, remember, you're going to point that anchored part towards the ceiling. You're going to have your hand towards the top. Say towards the top. And then we're stepping through as we get that chop, right? So those are some things you might want to teach, because you are going to have to be there to make sure that they're not doing something awkward and feeling like they can't. You don't want your people feeling like they can't do an exercise. If they feel that way, then they're going to be leaving soon. Then you have your Heisman with the hop. We like to play a little typewriter with that one, right? You know, where you're like the 1, 2, 3, and then you hop it back, you know, like the typewriter, just kind of resetting. If anybody on this call ever saw a typewriter, so that's how it works. I used to use one when we were first doing school papers. And then the animal finisher. So let's talk about the animal finisher. You know, there's a lot of things you could highlight in orange this week because it depends on the facility. Like, can your facility do scorpions well? Different things, right? The crouching tiger, hidden dragon. Who knows? You could have like a lot of fun with this one. You could put in their animals and have people draw names. And if it's the duck that they draw this time, then okay, great. We're going to do the duck, and so everybody's duck walking and you're challenging them to get low. If it's a bear that they draw, then it's a bear crawl. We can stick with this animal theme. You just have to be that coach. It's just like a good practitioner that has a program to implement. You are also assessing, who do I have in front of me? And would it be better to give them a bear crawl than a scorpion? Would it be better to give them a duck than, something else that's here, or a tiger or a bunny hop, So you can have a lot of fun the way that you deliver this, but you just have to question, what animals are you using in this animal finisher this week, right?
For sure.
Yep. It's good.
No, I think that's great because scorpion plank.
Tough on the shoulders. Tough one. Can be tough on the backs as you swing that leg around. Crouching tiger, that's good. I like the lizard crawl too, the one that we sometimes do with the dumbbells. You're a little bit higher. Maddie was on her forearms there I love the tiger noises. Thank you, Sam, for that. But so you can have a lot of fun with it. Heck, you could have a phoenix. I know it's a mythological animal, but the phoenix is often done with the bent over T extension, right? It could be just rising from the ashes. We're going to have our phoenix rising from the ashes. So if you're at 9 a.m. and practically everybody in the room standing, and you're like, I couldn't imagine getting these people down for a crouching tiger or a scorpion. Well, give them some phoenix, and give them some ducks, those kind of things. All right. All right, everybody. Have a great week.